What's up? Rashad, Tony, MCU Collective. It's a podcast. Loki, season 2, episode 6. What's the name of this episode, Tony? Oh yeah, I'm bad. Glorious Purpose.
Yeah,
all
glorious.
all spoilers. You already know. Got to talk about the thing and talk about the thing. And because Tony just finished watching this because he's a busy person. You know what I'm saying? He sold them. He sacrificed his time, sold the Marvels yesterday. We're gonna talk about that. We're gonna get into that tomorrow. He just finished watching episode 6. So, what is your like fresh reaction to that?
For the people that's listening to this and not watching, I just threw my hands in the air like, listen, I was, my first initial reaction was this. This is just a preview for the Marvels. This was like, for me, a palate cleanse of what I saw with the Marvels. We'll talk about that on another podcast. Man, I don't, yo, this was, this is why Loki is the best series on Disney Plus. And it also too, it's like, where are we going from here, yo? Like, like if y'all know me in the last few podcasts that we've done, dealing with anything Marvel, what has been my number one question? Where are
What
we
are we
going?
doing? Yeah, where
What
are
are
we
we
going?
doing? Where are
Mm-hmm.
we going from here? And once again, it ends. Where are we going from here? And for people who, you like to come to us before watching the episode, there is no post credit scene.
Nah.
It just ends, and you're just like, really? I was like, okay. So yeah, I mean, it it was a slight bit confusing,
All right.
but I kind of get it. The title is perfect for the
Loki.
end
Yeah,
for
yeah.
Loki, the ending of the show. The question is this a series finale or is this just a season finale?
Yeah, like
That's really
when
my number one question.
that's a good question. I mean, and that's a good question to have because the way this ends with Loki essentially being he who remains now and and understanding that him sacrificing himself for his friends is his glorious
Glorious
purpose.
purpose.
You feel what I'm
Yes.
saying? Like, and this was I was talking about last episode with like storytelling and how I think like episode 4, I said this Loki is really just about the friends we made along the way.
Mm-hmm.
But it's done in such an impactful manner that it makes sense for the story
Mm-hmm.
because the person who has never really made a true and what Tony, what did I say? Episode like 1 or 2. In order for this show to be impactful, Loki has to make the ultimate sacrifice.
Yes, you did say that. You
And
definitely
I
did
was
say
really
that.
thinking that it was going to be Loki dying, but
Die.
this is
Yeah.
even more impactful because he is essentially alive in this like really almost like God tier state because he is holding all of the timelines together.
He's
You feel what I'm
got the
saying?
whole world
Yeah,
in
yeah, yeah,
his
yeah, yeah,
hands.
yeah, yeah. I'm just because think about it like this. And also, I want to make the clear delineation between what this is. This is Loki basically being the master of the timeline for the sacred timeline. This has nothing to do with the multiverse.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
he's holding this thing down for essentially the 616.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's a crazy thing when you think about it because and we had these questions last season too. So it was like, yo, is there like a TVA in like everything? Or
Mm.
like or did Kang was like, yo, 616 is that timeline that I need to make sure it stays intact and
Mm-hmm.
everything else is like revolves around it. Like there's a lot of questions
Mm-hmm.
that still haven't been answered to this
Mm-mm.
that are so intriguing that also can be very confusing if you
Mm-hmm.
think about it a little too much,
Mm-hmm.
because this is
So,
just a timeline. It's gonna do
so,
the multiverse.
so let's just go to the end of what Loki did. So after a conversation, let's do a real quick recap. Real quick, let's recap
All
this.
right, like 2 minutes, Sony.
2 minutes, real
Can
quick.
you do it in 2 minutes?
I can do it in 2 minutes. I promise you, I can. I know I
I'm not even gonna
normally.
interrupt you.
Yeah. So Loki, we get to the part where Loki time slips back to the part right before Victor Timely is about to go out and put the piece in the to get the loom, the rings to expand.
Yeah.
And it happens. He does it. He watches it happen, and Victor Timely spaghetti files again. And so basically, he's talking to Ouroboros, and he's like, "We gotta do it faster." And then you see multiple times they're trying to cut corners and everything to make it faster. So he says, "Hey, let's go back further in time." Because remember, he's able to jump. He's jumping in between time himself and time. So he jumps back to when they bring Victor Timely to the TVA the first time, introducing Ouroboros, and blah, 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 this and that. And they think they got it, and they don't. Still no time. And so then come to find out, he's like, hey, man, how long is it going to take? Would it take for me to learn everything I need to know about quantum physics, everything that you know and he know? And like, Ouroboros was being nice. He was like, years? Victor
He
Timely
said, no,
said,
no, man, I said decades.
decades, right? Decade. Victor Timely was like, centuries. What happens next? Screen fades to black, comes up. Not a century, centuries
Centuries later.
later. I said, "Oh my god!" So centuries later, he's mastered it. But boom, they got everything together. He's like, they get there and they go right into it. And Victor Time is like, hey, it seems like we are kind of being rushed a whole lot here. And it was like, and everyone else is like, hey man, this ain't been tested. He said, it's all good. It's been tested. It's fine. No one else knows that he has been like, it's almost like the movie Groundhog Day with Bill Murray. Another great movie, because apparently he was trapped in that time loop in Groundhog Day for a couple of centuries as well. That's what I think I read somewhere before. So they get it, and they got it timed down right. Victor Timely's able to walk down, so they go out there, put the piece into the object, launch it into the loom. They get back, they're celebrating. Yay, we did it. The rings are getting bigger. And then next thing you know, they're like, hey, hold on, Jack. Hey, yo, it ain't working, because it's just so many branch timelines that have been created that no matter what, it happens. And Victor says, hey, you can't, you saying you can't like, he said, you can't, it's like infinity. It's infinity timelines that keep coming. And he said, it's basically like trying to divide by zero the whole
I
time.
was like, duh.
Right, which sucks. And so Loki comes up with the idea, all right, we got to go back to the source of what happens. And all this happens because Sylvie kills He Who Remains. So he goes back to that scene when she's about to stab him in season 1. And she keeps telling him, and she tells him, hey, if you want to do this, if you want to stop me, you got to kill me. He's trying to explain to her what's going on. And then what happens? It's another Groundhog Day like loop. Over and over, he's fighting her, and he's trying not to kill her. He doesn't want to kill her, and He Who Remains is just sitting there. And finally, he turns around and says, hey, man, why don't you try to stop her? And He Who Remains pauses. And He Who Remains thinks that Loki, they haven't had this conversation before. And he's like, do you understand that this is a math equation? He was like, basically like, I am the equation. Everything is here. This is how it stands. And then Loki, he's like telling Loki, like, hey, you can Loki's like, well, what if I change the equation? He was like, you willing to do that to let the other versions of me come in here and raise hell, all because you want to save her? He was like, hey man, you make a choice. And so Loki, he goes back in time. He jumps back to the part where we saw last episode with the spaghettification, after he brings everybody back to that branch timeline in Ouroboros' office. And he's telling Sylvie, hey, this is what I have to do in order to save everything. And she's like, if you want my blessing, screw you. You ain't getting my blessing. Saying, do what you got to do. And so he lets her go. And then he time slips back to like the first episode of the whole series, in episode 1, where he's like been captured by the TVA. He got the collar on, and he's talking to He's talking to Mobius
Mobius.
and like, hey, and he's right at the part where he was like, I am burdened with glorious, and he was like, listen, he was like, yeah, we know you want to be the king. And he says, no, I don't. Listen, man, just listen to what I'm trying to tell you. What do I have to do to say, is there a fail safe? Is there this or whatever? And Mobius is like, no, you have to. This place is here to make the hard decisions. And he basically tells the story about how when he was what do they
Hunter.
call a hunter, right? When he was a hunter, and he had to basically prune an 8-year-old kid in the Mediterranean because that was causing he couldn't do it. He hesitated, couldn't do it. And Renslayer was his partner, and she was the one that did it. And he was like, hey, she did it for this or whatever. So what happens is we go back to the spot right before Victor Timely has to go out into the loom to try to fix the thing. And Loki realizes what I have to do. He basically goes out towards the loom and everything on the walk of the path without no suit on, gangster as hell. He starts turning into like the green suit with the horns and everything. And he blasts and destroys destroys the loom or whatever. And everyone's like, and you just basically see like the timelines that are branches that are dying. What does Loki do? Loki goes and just starts collecting them hand by hand, like keeping life pumping through it, and he's collecting them going into a void, and he basically collects all the timeline and branches, and instead of a loom, what does he have, Rashad? A tree. And guess what? It's
Mm-hmm.
okay for a tree to have multiple branches. That's what said trees are for. And Loki finds a throne. He sits on it, and he's basically sitting there holding all of, the sacred timeline with the multiple branches in his hand, and he is now the keeper of the timeline. You get, and then they say what happens afterwards. The TVA is back up and running. They done rebooted Miss Minutes. She seems to be okay now with her creepy little self. Is it me, Rashad, that's got a question? Does it seem like that can't the He Who Remain variants don't know that this happened, or am I tripping? Because they was
I
like,
don't think so because
but
even remember they
mhm.
really didn't realize He Who Remain was doing this whole thing.
Right,
You know what I'm
okay.
saying?
And then I think they made reference to Kang the Conqueror from the from Quantum Mania, because it was like where there was a He Who Remained variant that was called the problem the 616, but those people were able to quell that.
They handled it. You know what
They
I'm
handled that.
saying?
And if I'm not mistaken, I believe that is Kang the Conqueror, what happened in
Yeah.
Quantum Mania. From that point forward, Mobius decides, hey, I'm out, I'm retired, man, I want to go back to my family. He doesn't know he has a family because he has not seen his family, and he sees where he came from, and he sees his family, Sylvie there with him, and they're like, what you gonna do? Hey man, I'm just gonna sit back and watch, live my life. Also, Renslayer is basically done. You saw her at the end after being pruned about 2 episodes ago, where she went back to the spot. She was at the spot where Loki was when he met the other Loki variants. And what
Yeah.
happened? Oh, she met who she tamed, Eliath, and Eliath
Yeah,
could not wait.
I was thinking the same thing too, because
Yeah,
like I was listening to other people talk. They was thinking like that she was gonna like basically wasn't. I'm like, yo, that
no,
noise was
was
definitely alive. That was the first. I was like,
right.
yo,
Eliath was like, oh, there she go. I know that ain't who that was that got me all them eons ago. Oh, you mind that, cuz? And basically, that's that. And the series ends with, saying they're showing the, not going to say the sacred timeline loom, but the sacred tree of time. And Loki, and they go into it, and Loki is just there holding all time together, and he's smiling, and he finally has his glorious purpose. There you go. I know it's probably about 3 minutes
nah,
or
nah.
so too.
I mean, I think that's the best we ever did. But nah,
Yeah.
but seriously though, because like I had to write this stuff down because like I was thinking, because I watched it again this morning. I was like,
Yeah.
yo, because I
I'm definitely
saw
watching again this evening,
yeah, because I saw it
Liz.
last night after I got from the movies, and I
Mm-hmm.
was just flabbergasted by just information. So I said, let me watch this again. I took some notes, and hold on if I can just find them. But nah, yo, um, while I'm vamping, that was the best. Yo, like I really think Tony, I don't want to be hyperbolic or prisoner in the moment,
Mm-hmm.
but that that may be this series as a whole
Mm-hmm.
is up there with just series in general, not just
Oh yeah.
MCU. Like
Yeah.
I might have to start. I gotta. This is gonna be slotted somewhere in my top 10 TV side streaming shows
Yeah.
because it's really been this good. The only to me, the only misstep was some of the first season, and it wasn't even their fault. It's because of COVID and like logistics.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? But other than that, like they made, and I mean, shoot, even for COVID times, they made the most solid show during that time.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And
Mm-hmm.
definitely the most one of the most solid MCU properties during that time, aside from
Question, was that, I can't remember, was that first or WandaVision? I think
WandaVision was
WandaVision was
first.
first, right? Okay.
But you
Because that
were
came out early in COVID, and then Loki came out, I
yeah,
think, in the end of this year or
yeah,
whatever.
because WandaVision was done. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Right.
And because remember, first daggone on Falcon Winter Soldier supposed to be first.
Right.
Then they had to
Right.
redo that whole thing because
Mm-hmm.
of the you know what I'm saying, the disease storyline.
Mm-hmm.
They had a pandemic storyline, which is like crazy apropos.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of like messed it up for them. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
They had to make the best they could. And then it was supposed to be Loki, then
Mm-hmm.
WandaVision third. So,
Mm-hmm.
but nah, like it's this like they really did an amazing job
Mm-hmm.
with this. And the thing that I was scared about, I think you was kind of fretting over as well, was knowing that the show, like the person who was running the whole thing was gonna be gone. Like, basically everybody that was on season one, like they left to do other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So them having new writers, Brad Martin and a couple of the people coming in,
Mm-hmm.
and they just killed it, man. Like the tone was crazy. They
Mm-hmm.
they 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 built upon established things, and I just got Jonathan Majors,
I was getting ready to say that, man. Oh,
like
dude.
like again, disclaimers. Like, I hope the allegations ain't true, man, because like the way that he is flipping back and forth between Kangs so effortlessly, the way that he mocked his own self talking.
He said, oh, you mean, oh, Victor time, Timely?
Timely? Yeah, I
And then
was
Loki was pissed. Loki was like, wait a minute.
like,
You,
man,
how do you know?
like, why are you mocking my boy? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Like, what did he said? Yeah, it was a scaling issue. He said, oh, that's what old Victor told you. He was
Yeah.
scaling.
Yeah.
It's like, yo,
Yeah.
like Jonathan Major murdered this. And for the people who was like, I don't understand why they would do that, you have to remember this is what they saw when
Mm-hmm.
they was doing, and you're Tony, you know how this stuff works. You
Mm-hmm.
know they probably tested him on like, yo, I want you to do Kang in 10 different ways.
Mm-hmm.
And this man is a thespian, so he probably on the spot did Kang in 10 different ways. And they
Mm-hmm.
was like, yeah, we want some of this Jonathan Majors.
Let me explain something to you. The last time I saw something like this that was just great top tier acting of a person being multiple versions of themselves was in the movie Split. I can't think of the actor's name right now. It's slipping.
You talking about James McAvoy?
Yeah, James McAvoy, when he basically had like 20 something personalities in his head. And
Yeah.
there's scenes in that movie where you see him like jumping from one personality to another. And I mean, it's like Jonathan Majors just did a fantastic job with, what I'm saying, with the character of Kane. Like I said, I'm with you. I hope the rumors aren't true that they're trying to move away because of whatever. But I was like, hey, please don't do this. Just finish this out with Kang Dynasty or whatever. I have a theory too about, what could, if they do go away from, if they do keep it, what could eventually happen with Kang or whatever. But man, this I just don't I just it's just so much good stuff I can say about this show that we've said multiple, times before. And for me, and I don't know about you, Rashad, you probably feel the same way. But for me, in order for a show, in my opinion, to be successful and for a show to really be a hit, is number one, you have to make your audience care about the characters and care about the story. You know what I'm saying? Care about the story. You think of some of the shows that are ranked and you know what I'm saying, in the annals of time, that are some of the best shows of all time. There are characters, not just one, but multiple characters that you care about. You got The Wire, you got Sopranos, you got, you know what I'm saying, even though it ended kind of crazy, you know what I'm saying, Game of Thrones, you know,
Yo,
The Cosby
first
Show.
the first season of Heroes.
Right, Heroes was you know what's crazy? This show kind of had the pacing of like kind of the first season of Heroes, and I'm
You really correct on that. It
right.
was
It
like
had
it's like it was
yeah.
almost just like this like pace freneticism that was like
Mm-hmm.
it's like I don't know, it's like you because like the
It
first
was just
season,
like
bro, like
something
I'm so like
crazy.
yo, if you wasn't around for like what's that, oh five,
No,
oh
no,
yeah,
no, no. I think that was
oh
like around
six.
oh 09,
No, no,
because
no,
I
no,
was
no, 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 no. I was still in Mariners Watch. That
2007
was
maybe
6 or 7. You know what I'm
6 or
saying? Because
7.
the
Yeah,
writer's strike happened in '09.
yeah. Because I think
So
that was like around my first year working, when I first year in the business for me
yeah, yeah,
in the
yeah.
business. So
Like,
yeah.
yo, like that was like the only thing that kind of like that hit the zeitgeist like that, to be honest, was WandaVision. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? And the reason that hit the zeitgeist because we had nothing to do. And that was the only thing we could watch that was new.
Yeah.
So there was some added thing, but like that, like just organic feeling of wanting to know what a show was. I guess a lot of people also feel that for Lost, which
Yeah.
I never watched because
Me neither.
I was like, I'm not interested in this. But people love it. You know what I'm saying? And,
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to hate what you love. But yeah, this show, Loki, season 1 and season 2,
Mm-hmm.
has proven that if you let people do their thing, and this is just like a word to the wise for everybody over in Marvel. If you let people do their thing,
Mm-hmm.
then they'll create a product that people are gonna want. And not only that, but they'll will elevate the product.
Mm-hmm.
So it can be long lasting, which is what you're trying to do now. But okay, with this episode in this series, did you okay, so
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to word this correctly. There's some people that kind of feel that okay. Oh, no, here we go. Here we go, Tony.
All right.
If this was you,
Mm-hmm.
would you have killed Sylvie?
I'm gonna say yeah, because the whole time I was like, my man, kill this chick, yo, get her out of here, get her out of here, man. Like, listen, first of all, disclaimer: I don't believe in killing at all. I'm not. I just
Especially
want
a
to make it,
woman.
especially a woman. I do not believe in killing. I do not believe in harming, killing women. I don't harming women or anything like that. But for the greater good of what would listen, for as eccentric as He Who Remains was, dude was possibly the most like chill, probably out of all of the variants of him, besides, you know, Victor Timely, who was basically a shyster, if we want to be if we want to be real with it. But like, dude, I mean, it's like, hey man, what was it that Spock said in Star Trek 2, The Wrath of Khan? He said the need of the many is more important than the need of the one. Or so, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? The meat need, you know, that's why for the old heads that, you know, watch Star Trek 2, the movie Wrath of Khan, which is a great movie, by the way. Why, if you haven't seen it, sorry, spoiler, Spock sacrificed himself, you know what I'm saying, to save the crew and everything. And that's when he died. I put that in quotation marks. But yeah, man, Rashad, yeah, Sylvie would have had to go, man, for real.
Nah, yeah, because even how especially when you're given the option of no options, because the way He Who Remains was explaining how hey, the loom ain't
It's a
really
fail safe.
there for anything, but it's a fail safe for the sacred timeline. And it
The
was
loom
gonna
don't care about no other
nah
timeline.
nah 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 nah
It's here
nah.
just to protect us in this whole
Yeah,
the main timeline. That's it.
it's only for the sacred timeline. And when he realized that, it's like, oh, I gotta I have to kill Sylvie because
Mm-hmm.
Sylvie is so dead set on killing he who remains, which
Mm-hmm.
started the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
So that with that reasoning at the time, with the information he's presented, makes so much sense. That's why he had to go. Like, it's crazy because it's like look, thinking about it now, it's real. It's amazing that he went back and time slipped to when he was in the TVA when he first got arrested
Mm-hmm.
and had
That threw
this.
me off a little bit at first. I was like, well, why
Well, like
would you go back?
why are we back here? You know what
Uh-huh.
I'm saying? But then also, oh yeah, another mechanic that I just dawned on me. Not only was Loki time slipping, Loki was time slipping
With
to the individual
visual.
at that time.
Mm-hmm.
So not only did he control time, but he was gonna be he was still his single. Loki was his singular self the entire time in
Right.
all of time. It's not like
Mm-hmm.
for example, Mobius when he goes back to his timeline
And he
that he went
sees
to earlier,
himself.
he sees himself. You know what I'm
No.
saying? He's still no. Loki was literally slipping into his
To
own existence
mm-hmm.
on the
Yeah.
timeline, back and forth.
Yeah.
All right. So him having that conversation, that initial conversation, and also understanding what happened to Mobius and him at and that whole, like, you got to make the hard decision, or
Mm-hmm.
somebody has to or Tony Tony, or essentially you have to be the one to step up when the other person isn't
Is it?
able to do it for themselves,
Mm-hmm.
which is going to help the greater good. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Almost like, like God, I'm going to go for the one, even though the
Mm-hmm.
99 is there. I'm still gonna go after the one. So
Mm-hmm.
that's so that whole parallel of him again, and he Tony, and now he's a what? He's a tree. You know what I'm saying? Which is more
Mm-hmm.
biblical allegory, tree of
Mm-hmm.
life. Also the Asgardian tree.
I was
You know what I'm
about to say
saying?
that. Yes. Uh-huh. Yes, I
So
was about to say that.
like it's layered up because before it was just it was a vine that was like
Mm-hmm.
circular. You know what I'm saying? Now
Mm-hmm.
it's you get roots at the
Mm-hmm.
bottom, which are dark. You
Yeah.
get Loki in the middle, and at the top,
Top.
you get almost like organized chaos, like Kang, because it's purple to me. So that's how
Mm-hmm.
I saw it.
Yeah.
And yeah, so like that whole thing for me is was very it was whew, I was like, man, like I
Uh,
don't I couldn't have written this, and
yeah.
I feel like I do decent job
Just
writing. I couldn't have
yeah.
wrote this like this.
And another thing too that happened that was very poignant what happened with I'm saying how the timeline is now. Ouroboros has a new handbook for the TVA, and it says and it has his name on it, and it has Victor Timely name, and it's now a yellow book. And then too, what happened? It went back in time to showing Victor Timely when he was that little boy making the candlesticks, and that was the part when Renslayer threw, put the TVA book in there. He never gets the book. He never They
True.
never gave it. So so remember what he said. Oh man, if we didn't interfere in your situation, man, you could have been bigger than Einstein. This
They
is a
did,
bit.
yeah, they didn't give Victor the because Renslayer is not there to do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man.
I didn't even think about that. Like I thought
Yeah,
about it, but I ain't
yeah. I mean, like I said, the way the show ended, it could have been. I know it says, "Oh, Loki season 2 finale." This could have been a series finale for this show. And I mean, I guess Rashad, what questions do you have now that season 2 is done?
what does Loki have to do with the entirety of the MCU now?
With the
Like
grand scheme of things.
where does he fall in? Is he gonna be is he gonna pop back up in Secret Wars?
Mm-hmm.
Is he gonna have like a some sort of like intricate role in that?
Mm-hmm.
Um what is he going to be doing? Is he can he get off of his throne? Like there's so many random questions that I got. I mean,
So that's one of my questions right there. So my so of course my favorite question of all time, where do we go from here? But with Loki, my question is, does this now mean that he is the keeper of time, and is he on the same level of the greater entities in the MCU, some that we heard about and some we haven't seen yet that should be coming along soon? Is he on the same scale of eternity? Is he on
I was
the
about to
same
say, is he like
is he
Eon?
on is he on the same scale of Eon, of the you know what I'm saying, the living tribunal, you know what I'm saying, of you know what I'm saying, Mistress Death, you know what I'm saying,
I
you know
mean,
what I'm saying, what
is he
it's
like an internal? You know what I'm
right,
saying?
right, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, where, you know what I'm saying, where does he, and like it goes back to, does he have to sit there and hold all this together for forever, or is there a way he can just be like, I'm gonna tie this down real quick and go
Tony, like who's gonna go visit Loki?
on? Right.
Like what who like who's gonna be okay, so who's gonna find I don't even know if it's called the end of time anymore. You know what I'm saying?
So he,
Like who's gonna find, Father Loki time? You know what I'm saying? Like,
right. So no one knows what he did except for the crew, his crew.
yes, that's it.
That's it. And the thing is, they're keeping it that way. It seems as if they're keeping it close to the cuff that way, because you also see where they're back at the TVA and they have like the mural of the, you know what I'm saying, the Kane War
And the
and the
timekeepers and all that.
timekeepers off. But you see, there's one that looks like they turned that into the tree in the middle of what, you know what I'm saying.
And even they also have like new propaganda up. You know what I'm
Everything looks
saying?
like it looks like the I don't want to say tree of life, but I guess
But
tree
it's
of
yeah,
time or
yeah.
whatever. You know what I'm
But it's
saying?
like more like it's more positive. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Everything is like, yo, like be here to basically like protect the tree instead of like, we pruning these branches.
right, right. You know, and that was the one thing B-15 was always worried about from the beginning of this season. After, you know what I'm saying, we got these timelines and people started, you know, and when General Hux and her homeboy damn went back in time and started damn you know what I'm saying, blowing up timelines. And she was like, hey, yo, those are billions of people, millions of people on these timelines that, you know what I'm saying, we're destroying. So it goes
Yeah.
back to, so what is the purpose of the TVA? What's the purpose of the TVA now? What is, you know what I'm saying, Loki, yes, he's found his glorious purpose that he is burdened with, but also like what's next for him. And then you got, you know what I'm saying, you got your other questions of how does this fit into the grand scheme of what's next in the MCU? Because I'm not sure what's the next show.
Okay, so a couple of things.
Uh-huh,
One, if we do get a season three,
uh-huh.
like could we get another Loki being mischievous and him trying to figure his way, and then him having to basically sit in front of Father Time Loki? Or do we have Loki's original vision of him just killing all the Kang variants?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And that's be the TVA's new role. I mean, or is this just like a very like introspective thing where we just see like our people just trying to figure out who they are in the current CVA, and how that works out, or an amalgamation of all three. Like either way, like I'm gonna watch because like
Yeah, right.
they
Period.
ain't missed yet.
I'll just say this, after some stuff that we saw, I'm still standing by, you know what I'm saying, one of my earlier theories, especially after some stuff that we saw at the end of the Marvels. I think we're going to see,
Oh, it's about to be on.
I think we're going to see young Loki popping up soon.
Oh yeah, because that was your theory from the other joint. Yeah, yeah, yeah. All right, y'all. That's all for this, man. I appreciate you all if you've been listening. Definitely
Hmm.
follow us on all the things at the Pump Further Review, IG, TikTok, YouTube, even Facebook. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? If you're
and
nasty.
and we appreciate, you know what I'm saying, all the follows and likes and everything, man, like that. And we appreciate the interaction you guys, you know what I'm saying, have with us. Like I always say, man, we're not making it like we're the end all be all to this or whatever. We're just two dudes that, you know what I'm saying, that are, you know what I'm saying, that love this stuff, man, and we like good shows, and we just here to just tell y'all our opinion, and you can agree or disagree, but and guess what? That's what makes us human.
Yeah, man. Because I remember on one of the joint show, like, oh, it was so hot. Like, I don't even understand why. Like, it was a rather like milk toast take I had too, and they was really pissy mad on YouTube. But I was like, no, this is good. I'm gonna like all this stuff and comment because it's engagement, and people don't understand that's the name of the game. Anyway,
And I think the
go ahead.
next Marvel MCU show that may be coming up, if I'm looking at this right, is going to be season 2 of What If, possibly coming sometime in December. If not, early
If not
January.
early next year, and
Yeah,
if that's not the case, then the next thing is gonna be Echo.
yeah. And also X-Men 97 is up in there
Which who knows
somewhere.
as who knows when
Yeah,
that's gonna come out. Oh yeah, shout out to SAG. You know what I'm saying? Right, the
yeah,
actors actor
yeah,
strike is over. Now we can get now we can really get it popping. Next year is
yeah.
gonna be a mess. 2025 is going to be packed. But
24 and 25 is about to be.
especially 25. Oh
Yeah.
my God. It's gonna be a packed year for all types of stuff. But yeah, we will see you guys tomorrow with
Mhm.
the Marvels. And until then, peace.